Hello everyone. We're here again in the woods in the Northeast on the border of New York State and Vermont. And we've bumped into all kinds of great choice edible mushrooms. And the species that we're looking at now is a standard oyster mushroom. They're a choice edible. They will come back year after year. And a display like this looks like dinner to me. And what we're going to do is harvest about half of these and leave the other half. Some in the back have passed a bit, and we had a recent rain, and this is the most recent flush or extension of the fruit from the fungus which lives under the ground, so that, you know, when we get a flush when we have a rain and more mushrooms come out, and they can present themselves on trees, sometimes on the ground, sometimes in fairy rings, sometimes singularly, sometimes clustered like these oysters are. Very cool. Very interesting organism, very edible. A friend of mine owns a mushroom farm, and the most readily cultivatable organism that he uses are oysters. And they do grow quite prolifically when they're cultivated. In the woods, we find them, absolutely. Not every year, but usually. And this is a very typical sort of structure that you're going to find them on, a dying or dead tree. We've got a stump here, and these are great. It's a bit humid, and with the rain they flushed out, and now everyone's going to ask, how do you know, Ian, that they're an oyster mushroom? Well, time of year's right. We're late summer. Now there are different oyster species that emerge. Okay. The summer oyster is what I would call these. In the fall they come out gray. They're larger. Rather than presenting as little leaflets all around a tree, you might have 3 or 4 very large caps that come out. And there's even one that's very small called a late fall oyster that's green. But this one is our standard summer oyster. And we're going to take some home to eat tonight. I'll be cooking for the in-laws, so take them home something interesting to enjoy from the woods. So what I'm going to do is get one of these nice healthy ones, trim him off at the base of this stalk, and the stalks on these is relatively small, 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Fully descending, okay? So that means that the gills are running down almost completely all the way down the stalk. All right, very important defining feature. Short stalk, fully descending, and we're just barely at the top here. Our gills are forked. Not quite as pronounced as a chanterelle, but upon close scrutinization, you can see that they are just barely notched at the end. All right. Now, dead wood, good deal. Time of the year, we're right on the money. The color, bright white. It's bright white on the gills, and it's a little more of a tan white on top, okay? Now, mushrooms are interesting because their shades can sort of morph a little bit depending on the weather. But the fragrance is nice, pleasant. The flesh is meaty, but still fairly fragile, okay? Spore print is white, if you chose to do a spore print. They're wonderful mushrooms. As a chef, I would use these in a nice wine sauce, or I would saute it with a pasta. But one could use these in any fashion. You could bread them up and fry them up and have wonderful fried wild mushrooms. You could make duxelles and saute them down with onions and garlic and serve them over toast rounds. Beautiful. You could leave them here and just admire them. I definitely recommend bringing some sort of detailed, comprehensive book like a National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Mushrooms. And this, of course, is something that we always bring with us and frequently use to double check our identifications. This is a species that I've been IDing for many years. So it's one of the species that I can look at specifically and go, that's an oyster, okay? The oyster is similar to, in the ease and ability to identify as a chanterelle, or a black trumpet, or a chicken of the woods, or hen of the woods, many of which we're going to hopefully bump into this year, some of which we already have. So this is a good beginner's mushroom, completely non-toxic, long history of being used, easy identifying features. So this is one that I wanted to talk about because we bumped into it, and we're here to explore the woods. So this is your oyster mushroom. It's beautiful, it's lovely. I myself am going to take half of this yield home and cook dinner with it tonight. It's something that any of you could do if you were along this same path with us. Hopefully you'll continue to watch. Hopefully you're learning from our experiences in the woods, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.